Hello girlies! So I thought it was about time we started talking about shopping, which is obviously a really fun part of vintage fashion. I'm going to go through the different places where you should go to try and find your genuine vintage pieces, and where you can go to find some modern pieces to dress them up a little bit. So first and foremost is the charity shop. Now, lots of people have phobias about charity shops, and it's true, they're not always the best laid out. They can look a bit jumble-saley. They certainly can have a bit of a musty smell to them, which isn't very appealing. But some these days are really lovely. The rails can be laid out really nicely in size order. But either way, once you sort of get your eye into it, it does become easier. So the first thing to say is when you go in, obviously go over to your female section, and you can just have a little browse there. You've got sort of your skirts, which are quite good, because even sort of your sort of granny skirts, I guess as you would call them, they can look really cute with like a little short little crop top, especially if they're sort of high-waisted. You've got all sorts of jumpers. You can go into Topshop, for example, and you could spend 25 plus on a woolly jumper, or a jumper that looks hand knitted. Go into your charity shops, you can pick one up for £3, and you know they've still got that really lovely vintage feel to them. When you get home, pop them in the into the wash with loads of fabric conditioner, and you know you can't go wrong, you really can't. Of course, then you've got the dress rail. We will talk about how to identify vintage pieces, but I would say try and keep an open mind when looking through in charity shops. The dress or skirt might not be the exact, like your exact size, but with belts and accessories, you know, one or two dress sizes bigger than your own, you know, you can make work really well for you. So that's charity shops. The other place, of course, where you can look are vintage shops. The places I like to go shopping for vintage, you've got Camden in London. They've got a variety. They've also got your reproduction vintage shops there. So you can buy brand new off the rail with the vintage style. Or, of course, you've got all your genuine vintage as well. There are lots of local ones, and there are lots of independents when it comes to vintage shops. So in your area, do some research, go on Google and find what's near you. It's really good to support those vintage shops because they are independent. Therefore, the shopkeepers are generally really helpful. They've got a lot of information about their stock, and they can tell you, for example, when it's made from, or they might even have their own stories. I was bought a dress by a very good friend, and the lady who was selling it in her vintage dress shop, it was her sister's dress, and it's this beautiful 1950s ball gown, and I was very lucky and my friend bought it for me. But it was lovely because, of course, now I know the history, or some of the history of that dress, and it's a really lovely piece to keep. That's your vintage shops. Then, of course, and I've had great fun at them over the years, are your vintage fairs. There's a great one in Milton Keynes if you're sort of Buckinghamshire way. It's called MK Handmade and Vintage Fair. You'll find that vintage and handmade do go side by side, especially when it comes to your fairs. So you'll have lots of individual sort of craft makers next to stalls selling beautiful vintage as well. They are really lovely communities. A lot of the stall holders all know each other, and they just are very welcoming. They love talking about their products, and again, they are very helpful. So I would definitely find out about vintage fairs, and the MK one is quite big, but of course you've got your little ones or your village hall ones. I would always go take a little look, because even if it's not a sort of full outfit you might find a really pretty piece of jewellery or a little handbag. For example, from a vintage market the other day, I bought a cute little velvet handbag. So it's just worth keeping an eye out and seeing what's available. Then, of course, you've got your high street shops, which at the moment I think there is quite a wide choice when it comes to modernising your vintage style. For example, there are lots of dungarees available for that sort of land girl look, loads of floaty skirts which look really cute with little tops. And of course, with your hair and with other elements of your outfit, you can dress with a vintage style quite easily with shopping in the high street. Your benefits in the high street are you can pick up your size, they're easy to wash, you've got care labels on them, and you've got a huge variety right there on your doorstep. So I certainly dabble in high street as well. I might, for example, wear a top that I found in a charity shop and a pair of jeans that I bought in H&M, and I think that combination works really well. So I hope you have fun shopping. I will blog further about this subject and where to begin when you're actually in there looking at the clothes and how to decipher what's vintage and what's not. But for now, start going out into charity shops, start going to your vintage fairs, and you will slowly start to build a really beautiful wardrobe. Thank you very much. Bye now.